Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Impossible. I'm your co host, Austin, and today I wanted to update you all on the recent results, I suppose, of my 18 month follow up for my time in remission. I am 17-ish months into remission this time, and that has never happened before. I have yet to make it this far. And so when it came to today's scan, I had this sort of immense feeling of, am I really in the clear? Have I actually gone and beat this? And to what degree am I able to set this behind me? Obviously, when it comes to relapsing, 3 times in your cancer journey, you really, or at least in my case, I don't want to speak for others, but I may speak for others just for some of these instances, and to you run into this obvious hesitation to what could be, and allowing that what could be to be positive, to be hopeful. And that's where I kept running sort of into myself, was allowing this sense of hope to take over me. And that's not the way that I want this to be ran. That is not of the route I'm expecting all of this to go, is to rely on hope. And I know that I have discussed my feelings about hope in a previous episode or two, but this is me in the moment, only being 2 days post CT scan and finding out the results yesterday of, again, what hope was not able to accomplish for me, and of what hope had not had a presence within. So what I'm trying to say there is I did not come into this scan applying really any hope. There was a little hope there, I would say, probably in my subconscious, something that I'm not going to sit here and say that I have been able to completely wipe out from my subconscious, but consciously I'm not thinking about it. Consciously I'm thinking about the intention that I can apply to my life and to my actions on the daily, and my overall pursuits going down this road, down this path, of which I'm able to be taking action. I can be planning, I can be planning, I can be executing, and I can be sort of reviewing those two and optimize along the way. And that hope does not have a place on the table for me, at least when it comes to especially serious situations like this. I'm not going to sit here and hope for a good scan. Is it still in there within me? Of course. There's a small part of me that's just, I don't want to be dealing with this anymore. I really, really don't. But I'm not actively pursuing that feeling, because hope's not going to procure me anything that's actionable. What's actionable is for me to plan beyond this scan a set of goals that are actionable towards a life to where I don't relapse, and then a set of goals and a plan of action for life if I do relapse. And that's where I bring you today is I was able to go through that quite well, actually. I was able to go through this CT scan with a bit of ease. And you'll see here in the first part of the drive up to the cancer center with the love of my life. She prompted me to say, like, hey, like, while we drive up there, why don't we take this time to sort of pick the brain as we're driving up to the cancer center, driving up to the scans. Like, what are you feeling in the moment? And so you'll get a sense of that. And again, what I want to offer you now is a sense of coming off of it and knowing now that I haven't relapsed. The scans are clear, no signs of a lymphadenopathy. There was an increase in size of one of the nodes that they had seen back in October, but the node went from 8 millimeters to 9 millimeters, which is going to be, that is a very typical fluctuation of nodes. I'm sure there are other nodes in my body that may have gone from half a millimeter to 1 or 1 to 1.5, little stuff like that. Your nodes are going to fluctuate, especially in my case. My immune system was reset in December of 2024. My immune system is this sort of 17, 18 months old. It's seeing an entirely different, it's seeing the world all over again. And when I'm stuck here in this, perpetual daily routine of trying to keep what I personally, because obviously it wasn't a brain reset, for 18 months ago. Like I have all of my experiences up here of prior to, BMT to bone marrow transplant, 12/9/24, but my immune system doesn't. So is it going to be battling some things of which it's never seen before? Yes, quite clearly. And is it going to be somewhat adversely reacting to those? Yes. Again, I have to come to expect some issues with it, with reacting to, different sicknesses. Like this past winter, had a couple of colds that took me out for a week and a half, 2 weeks. Had the flu, potentially COVID. I don't know if I never tested positive for it, but I had some of the side effects that would have coincided with that, but also could have just coincided with a really intense flu. But that took me out for almost a month, and then had some GI issues that kind of followed that. Like that was a very intense sort of 4 to 5 weeks, and that's just what I'm going to have to come to expect for these first few years. An immune system of which is very new to this world, and I'm experiencing right now with allergies. Like that's I'm now on Zyrtec number 2 for the day, which that's me. That's what I choose to do. I'm not recommending anybody to take any dosage of Zyrtec, but for me personally, and today I took one this morning, and we just got back from a baby shower that was outside, and I had a brilliant time, but lots of allergens. It was in the countryside, so lots of allergens floating in the air. The wind was pushing it all, and really windy, and kind of windy, but pushing all that into my face. And so when we got back here, I was just flustered again, and my nostrils were just emptying. And so what did I do? I took another one because I just needed to, because my immune system doesn't have the years of working out in the fields on the farm and outside playing of when I was growing up, and all the travels that I've had throughout the different states in the United States. Like it does not remember that anymore. And so Not that it was perfect before December of 2024 or before even my diagnosis. Not that it was perfect before then. It wasn't. I was still taking Zyrtec. But all of that, again, is just gone. And so there's a lot of relearning coming along this in terms of my immune system. But now there's an opportunity for me to relearn and to re-experience life itself. To re-experience to experience again, I suppose, the beauty that this world has to offer. I'm going to be able to continue to travel, to continue to meet new people. Potentially meeting all of you who see this Tuesday and the week after, or the month after, or the year after. To experience a new state, to experience another meal, to experience another cup of coffee, to experience another dinner with the love of my life, to seeing a new vista, to revisiting a vista that I've seen before. I do promise you that I'm going to Scotland again and again and again and again and again. And to have this worry washed off of me and to rid my body and my soul of that worry, it's very freeing. It's an opportunity for me to face those real moments of anger, of frustration, of worry, but also to face those moments of real unending kind of angst and disgust with myself. I have had a fair bit of questioning going through my mind, of which has not been... A lot of it has been positive, but a lot of it has been overwhelmingly not positive. I still have dealt with a bit of disgust and this sort of loathing for self, for the what if that hasn't happened now, but the what if of if I relapse, that it's a failure of mine, that it is me being a failure, that I have failed myself, I have failed those around me, I have failed to realize my potential. I can sit here and say that I've planned for this. I've planned this set of goals to accomplish before and after the relapse, after treatment, and yet having that plan of action, I still struggle with not blaming myself for it. Because we all have those moments of, oh, I could have not had that cookie. oh, I could have had a better meal at this point, or I could have went to the gym that day, and maybe that would have helped my body and my immune system battle off that one cancerous cell that could have, that could have been killed off instead of mutating, and I could have done this and I could have done that, and we all have those moments, and I am human. Big surprise even to me, but I am human, and I have those sharp, whirling voices in my head, of which, as I've been able to sharpen my mind and to sharpen my viewpoint on life and how to attack it, the negative, nihilistic part of my mind has also been able to adapt in a similar fashion, and that's to be expected. As the one side, as order is able to step back and sort of suffocate the chaos. Chaos finds a way to break out of that and come back even stronger. And I would say of the mind especially, I've had quite the struggle over these past few months leading up to the scan. And I had the similar feeling to the October scan, where I was pushing up against a wall of which I felt like I just could not move, even though I saw that it was made from styrofoam, or it was just, or it didn't even exist. I felt a little different. But this time here, I really found myself battling some thoughts in the head of not thoughts of like self-harm, self-mutilation, self this, self that. Merely my mind finding a way to get to bug me, to nag on me, to sort of poke around a little bit and find a spot of which I'm not comfortable, or to find a spot that really sort of sets me off. And that and that's to be expected. I'm not, like I said, as the positive goes forward and evolves, so is the negative. So is the nihilist in me and the existentialist in me, that something of which I fought for years now, and have only recently been able to sort of set up this foundation that could withstand those gale force winds, and as they stand more and more easily, because I continue to build upon them, that does not mean that the winds pressing against them have calmed down. They have also strengthened, and because they have not been able to really make an effect on it, because I've been strengthening those columns. And so, coming off of this CT scan, coming off of this checkup, knowing that I haven't relapsed after 17 and a half months, I'm able to rid myself of that angst, rid myself of that nervousness, and note to myself that I was able to stand up against those winds of which carried a lot of force, but not necessarily a whole lot of substance. They didn't carry substance because we didn't know whether I had relapsed or not. They only carried substance because of the what ifs that I was able to let it carry and give it some weight, but there wasn't any substance there. There wasn't what was the meat and potatoes of those negative thoughts, because they certainly didn't really exist. They didn't really manifest themselves into anything that was going to be worth slamming in. I was able to withstand that impact. I was able to withstand those, not only words and thoughts, but of putting action against them, putting myself in a position of which I would be able to withstand them and come out on the other side. One way in particular of which I'm able to deal with that is in my writing. The action that I'm able to take in conquering some of this and to fortify those walls, to fortify those columns, is in my writing. I write an essay about every day. And I mean, I write something every day, but I try to write an essay, a short essay every day. I try to, about every day. And that has been my sort of defense against the dark arts. That's been my structure of which I've been able to utilize against those winds. I give those negative thoughts a moment to face them. I don't turn away from that wind. I face the wind. I face that storm. And that is something, that's a skill that I've been able to learn for quite some time. And as I may say in the part 1, I don't know if I did or not, but I want to reiterate it here, of sitting within those emotions and feeling those emotions. I want to, like, these negative thoughts that are pushing against me. I need to at least hear them so that I am ready for them so that I can hear them and I can refute them, and then I can be ready for them in the future if it tries it again. And I'm much more able to quickly refute it and quickly quiet it down. That of which attempts to break you down, you need to be very, very aware as to its motives, and very aware as to what it's saying and how it's saying it, and why it's saying it. That way, in the future, I can take down and cut them down with ease. And writing is my way of doing that. I write down those thoughts. It would it would probably concern a lot of you of what I'm writing down as to what it's saying, as to what that voice is uttering. And it's nothing actionable, of course, but like I said before, but again, it's just a lot of what ifs, and a lot of like verbal challenges of are you sure you're ready for this? Or I think you're not ready for this. Like, what if you relapse? You should probably, seek to just like allow this to really just, crush you down, and to really let this sort of, let it just pummel you into the ground. Hearing it out, hearing those words out, hearing that voice out, it's required for me to sit within that realm. It's required for me to sort of bathe in that pessimism, that nihilism, just for a moment. And that's where those essays come in very, very important for me. And whatever way that you are able to utilize those moments of reflection, of sitting within those negative, maybe thoughts or emotions, and then coming back at them, obviously with something that's much more powerful. Like, that's something that you decide is whatever has the greatest efficacy, whatever is most sufficient or efficient and powerful for you. And for me, that's writing, that's meditation, and just spending time with family and friends, of course. But for me, how I've been able to stand against those winds of nihilism and pessimism is hearing them out, writing them down, and just kind of catching them, in that hurricane, like seeing a thought go by, and I'm like, okay, there's something. Let me put this down on paper. Okay, this is that thought. Well, that's okay. That's easily refutable. Okay, done. And that's a little bit of the wind that I'm able to kind of cut out, and I'm able to wean out of its strength. And then I could find another thought, and then I could find another thought, and then I can find this, and then that, and I could put it on the piece of paper. I say, okay, you're saying this. Negative voice in the head, you've said this, you've said that. Okay. Well, that's bam. Okay, you kind of have a point there. Maybe I can work on that, because it's gonna show you some flaws. It's gonna show you some things of which you don't want to hear, and it's going to bring up actionable items that you haven't taken yet, that you've said that you've wanted to take, and maybe it can connect to this thought that you had the other day, and then that it connects to this here that may have caused this, and it remembers everything, because it's also that, that other voice is in you. It's keeping track of everything that you don't do, and it's willing to bring that back up in these moments of where you maybe let your guard down for a second, or when it comes to you in moments of intense pressure, like this was for me, like this checkup was for me, it comes around and it says, hey, but I'm able to take those thoughts, I'm able to put them down on the paper, and I'm able to really hear it out, but also just it really allows me to take the upper hand. I can add to the columns of which I've been able to build and utilize them to carry that weight on my shoulders, and slowly wean it off of me, to slowly rid of myself of it. But I know that my foundations are able to support me during those moments, from doing this in the past, from continuously reviewing, and analyzing what I'm able to do, reviewing and analyzing the actionable items of which I've been going through on the daily basis, but also sitting within that realm of which the negativity of your, the negative voice in your head, and the negativity of what it can cause, I've been able to keep in control of that, because I keep it at bay, because I write it down, and I don't ignore it. I don't let it sit there and fester. I don't let it sit there and garner more and more strength. The columns of which I stand upon are not indestructible, but they can be very, very strong if I allow them to be, if I allow them to adapt and to evolve with me in the positive things in life. That the negativity that comes in, I can refute it, smack it out of the air, and let it know who's in control, and that's me. That's the individual who went into this checkup with intention and purpose, and a plan of action, regardless of what the outcome was. Was I hopeful that it wasn't going to relapse? Of course, but that's not what I stood upon. I stood upon the action that is required of me to move forward every single day. And that requirement is to continue to pursue the impossible, to continue to pursue what I deem necessary to achieve in this life. And the more you work on that, the more you pursue that, the more you hold on to that and just move through life with, to purge forward with, that's it. That's what you use. That's what you can use, and that's what you should use. We're not trying to open this up to the masses because we think that it might work. It is working. It's working for me. I was able to come into this scan, and as you see in part 1, I wasn't an emotional wreck. I wasn't this like mental mess. I I went into it with structure, with a foundation, with the ability to be ready for those wins, no matter how forceful they were. And at the end of it, not having relapsed, I am very thankful for myself having put myself in that position in the first place. To know that those gale force winds of nihilism were going to be refutable because I had prepared myself. I prepared myself through a lot of work. It was a lot of work. It was difficult. It's been extremely difficult. I don't want to be going through this, but here I am. Absolutely wanting to crush every single day that I'm alive, and being thankful for every day that I'm alive, being thankful that I get to experience this life, and thankful that I get to travel, thankful that I get to spend time with family and friends, and thankful that I get to visit those coffee shops. And it's turned a life of nihilism, and I turned a life of, I would say, existentialism, maybe not so much nihilism. I'm certainly nihilistic towards certain subjects, but it's turned that life into something much more beautiful, much more incredible, and thankful. And I'm thankful to be able to experience this much more beautiful perspective on life and existence itself. In that, I'm thankful that I get to be up every single day and to do this, and to whomever it's helping, I'm thankful for that. And I want it to be, and we want it to be, an Impossible Performance. Matt and myself, we and everybody else in the Impossible community, and hopefully you will join us if you're seeing this for the first time. We want to share this mindset. We want to share this culture because it's changed Matt and I's life and many others, and again, hopefully more, into something so beautiful, into something so worth pursuing and worth partaking in, and worth pursuing, and worth experiencing and feeling. And I do not sit here for a moment and loathe this pursuit of the impossible. It's the exact opposite. It pushes me and it drives me every single day to produce something of which could potentially be remembered for quite some time. And that motivates me, and that pushes me, and that drives me every single day. And I'm very, very thankful for that. And now with the CT scan results, I can continue to do that with a lot less worry and a little bit less baggage on my shoulders, a little bit less of a burden. And I'm very, very thankful for that. And I'm very much excited and looking forward for the future, because that's where we're going. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. This was a nice, short, little sort of post checkup. And thank you all for following me on this journey. It's going to continue. Remission is a 5-year period. We're only a year and a half into it. So there's lots more checkups and scans and blood work to follow, and oncologist visits. And I look forward to them being just as positive and more positive than this one. And I'm thankful for you all. Because us here at Impossible Performance are striving to build a global culture of strength, fostering a spirit of growth and constant pursuit of the impossible. Take care, and as always, be impossible.